And hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Point Blank podcast. I'm your host, Dan.
And I'm your co-host, Dom.
Dom, yesterday, it was a big day in the British calendar, of course. Do you know what day it was? The August 14th?
Oh, how can I forget, Dan? It was the biggest celebration in British history, right?
Yeah, Pakistan Independence Day. Again, every single year, I'm starting to see the footage, the celebrations that happen on our streets. And every year, I get more angrier and angrier seeing such things. Councils going out of their way to display Pakistan flags on their public buildings, which we don't get for St. George's Day, by the way. The street celebrations. And the ironic thing is, the individuals are celebrating Independence Day from our once great British Empire within our streets. Make it make sense. Please, Dom.
Yeah, it's a little bit hypocritical, right? You know, these people have immigrated to the UK from Pakistan. You know, the UK was once their oppressors, as they put it, and they were sort of colonized by us. And they're now celebrating their independence from us while also living in our country. It doesn't really make any sense, you know?
Makes zero sense. My goodness me, we've got a lot of footage to go over. There was a lot of carnage that erupted last night, of course, due to their celebrations. Of course, the police, having to police this. And again, I say it every single video, don't the police have better things to do than having street parties? And in fact, I want to go one bit further. St. George's Day. I don't remember seeing, us being able to have street parades, having whole roads in cities shut down to celebrate St. George's Day. That just wouldn't happen in our country. But Pakistanis are allowed to celebrate their Independence Day from our British Empire in our streets.
Yeah, it doesn't make a lot of sense, you know. What you see for like Remembrance Day and St. George's Day, you might see the British flags or, the Union Jack maybe for like a week or a day, and then you'll see things like the Pakistani flags on public buildings and the pride flags for a whole month, and they'll completely line our national, historic cities in London and across the UK with these sort of foreign flags, these ideological flags, but yet they will prosecute people and stop people from putting the flag of this country. And people will come back and say it's racist, it's sexist, it makes people feel uncomfortable. Well, if the British flag makes you uncomfortable, then maybe this isn't the country for you.
Yeah, good point. We are going to get on to the British flags being removed by Birmingham City Council, but I just want to keep on to the Independence Day. So on the same day that they removed these British flags and St. George's flags from the streets, which, as I said, we'll get to momentarily, they lit up the library in Birmingham with the Pakistan flag colours. And actually, I was reading from my comments the other day from people in Birmingham, and they said, I asked the question, was the St. George's flag lit up on this same building on St. George's Day? And the answer, guess what, unanimously, was no. So they went out of their way to, of course, do this for Pakistan's Independence Day. Not only that, look at the carnage. Look at the scenes here as we look at the celebrations from last night. So, yeah, there's the scenes from last night. Absolute carnage across the areas. Some of the clips from Manchester, some of them, of course, from London. Thoughts on that?
Well, I used to live 5 minutes, less than 5 minutes actually, from where that first video was taken in Russia in Wilmslow, on Wilmslow Road in Manchester. And yeah, it is like that 24/7. So, I'm not surprised at all that the carnage sort of was blocking the roads, and there was sort of just a lack of a disregard for the respect of, the flow of traffic and stuff like that. One thing as well in that last video that kind of made me laugh a little bit was the size of that police officer. She was like 5'2" and probably 50 kilos. She's not going to be doing much of enforcing the law, surrounded by sort of thousands of Asian men.
Woke higher.
Yeah, DEI.
But my whole point on this is that I'm struggling to get my head around it. I've just been talking about it for the last sort of 5 minutes. I'm struggling to get my head around it, right? The thoughts and opinions. Why? I have no problem with countries celebrating their Independence Day. I really don't. Outside our sort of country. But the people that are allowing this to happen, or the people that are actually even celebrating it, I'm trying to make sense of it in my own mind, right? So they're so happy, they're celebrating the moment that Pakistan was able to stand on its own 2 feet, right? It's this great nation. It's an amazing place. They clearly love it. They're so proud of their heritage. Dom, why aren't they not living there? I'm sure the party there would be 10 times better last night. Why are they not living there if it's so great and amazing?
Yeah, it's a good point. If they're that patriotic and sort of nationalistic about the heritage of their country and gaining independence, then, surely you wouldn't want to leave that country you're so patriotic about. And this is the sort of ideological barrier that persists with mass immigration, is that they're not ideologically or culturally British. They still identify with their sort of previous host countries, whether it would be India, Afghanistan, or in this case, Pakistan. And there's no integration into the sort of British way of life. Now, Britain shouldn't be celebrating, its colony countries leaving the colony. It seems quite limp-wristed, quite defeatist. But, if these people are actually British, like they say they are, a piece of paper doesn't validate that. The culture, you have to learn the culture, be a part of the history, be a part of the movements that happen within the UK. And this is just not what we're seeing from the sort of Pakistani community here.
So another question on it as well is that there's obviously people within these places, that Manchester that you're saying, they've obviously got clearance, police clearance, they've obviously got council clearance to block the road. They know it was going to happen because the police were there and they weren't exactly tearing them away. They obviously got permission to have these street parties or whatever. Who's making these and sanctioning these decisions that these individuals can celebrate their independence in our streets? From Britain again, I keep on saying their independence from Britain. Who's sanctioning this and allowing them to do this?
It's strange. Obviously, there must be some sort of like council that's also part of this sort of cultural movement as well. I don't think the streets were actually blocked off. It seemed like a bit of a shotgun celebration where they all just kind of went on the streets. And because they outnumbered the police force, the police couldn't really enforce them to get out of the way. We saw a lot of cars trying to get through, that bus trying to get through as well. So yeah, it does seem like a bit of a sort of shotgun celebration there. But you're right. Who is sanctioning? Like, who is the head of the library in Birmingham who, sanctioned the use of the public library, which is publicly funded, to wave the flag of Pakistan? These are the questions. These are the $1 million questions.
Yeah, well, this all happened on, of course, the same day. So yesterday, of course, Birmingham City Council, the same council that erected that flag on the library building, they put out a statement yesterday with regard to removing British and St. George's flags off of off of lampposts in the area. Now, it's actually quite a beautiful story on how this actually occurred. Essentially, a guy, a patriot, went around and he felt in Birmingham that there was not enough St. George's flags, there wasn't enough Union Jacks around. And essentially, he started a GoFundMe. He raised £2,500 from other patriots to, raise money for all the flags, the tape to put them onto the lampposts. And they started in this place here, as you can see, Wolseley Castle. And their plan was, of course, to go around the whole Midlands, Birmingham, and decorate the city and make it a thing. However, the Birmingham City Council, as I said, on the same day they erected that Pakistan flag on the library, had basically issued a statement stating that they were going to be removing these flags. And do you know what the reason was for it? It was a danger to motorists. Now, look at those flags there on the thing. You're a driver yourself. Is that a danger to you? Is that a distraction to you as you're driving? Are you going to crash a car due to that?
No, I think that's a bit silly. But you know what? It's a two-tier system, right? Because we saw mass celebrations in the streets, which weren't a danger to drivers.
Oh, they're not danger. I mean, the bus was like trying to get through the thing. That was a massive danger to the drivers. But they allow that to happen, but don't allow some flags to be on a flagpole. And I'd even go as far to say is that, again, I'm not a wet wipe, and I'm not complaining. Well, I am complaining about the Pakistani flag, but I'm not complaining about lights and stuff. But I would say those bright lights in that library building is more of a hazard when you're driving, especially at night, than flags on a lamppost.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. That they'll use this like guise of safety as a Trojan horse in order to reduce the patriotism and sort of weather down our ideology in this country. So they'll use that sort of safety angle just because they don't want to see the flags. And there have been Facebook posts that have been complaining about these flags, saying that they make people feel unsafe, and they're linking it to like far right groups and reform. Look, this is the flag of our country. It has been this flag for so many years, hundreds of years. How is that linked to any one political party? It's linked to the whole country. If you're in this country, that flag is linked to you. So if you're using this like low-level political discourse to associate these like keywords, racist, sexist, homophobic, whatever, and you're associating that to our flag, then I think you're just a little bit stupid, to be honest.
Unsafe. They're making them feel unsafe. So you better get used to the site. They should be. And as I said, I'm not in a position of governing or whatever, but I would make it like the United States. Put it on every single building. You have to have the flag flying on every single building. And to be fair, these individuals wouldn't have to start a GoFundMe if there was enough flags just flying naturally.
Yeah.
What happened to the days of having a flagpole that was just there in every single sort of park or just wavering around on buildings? They should use their initiative and start to put these flags. Why are they listening to people say, oh, it's making me feel unsafe? I'm thinking about Birmingham and its demographic, and as I said, the last time I was in Birmingham was an absolute shit pit. And nothing against the Brummies. There's a lot of patriots over there. I'm talking about the actual state of it, and I think you know where I'm going with regard to it. But the place is a cesspit in terms of it's dirty, and as I said, there is a correlation as to how Birmingham, and the second biggest city, of course, in the UK, has gone downhill, and we can see it. And these are the same individuals that probably have been complaining about the flags.
And not only is it dirty, I think it's quite dangerous as well.
Oh yeah, massively.
But where is the British people saying that the Pakistani flag makes them feel unsafe? No, it doesn't. People aren't pressuring the councils like that because they know them requests are going to fall to deaf ears. There is no weight in that because we just feel completely cornered. If someone made a claim like that the Pakistani flag made them feel unsafe, they would be hit with the home of the racist and the far right and all these different like keyword tags. They would just be placed onto them. But when the roles are reversed and the victim in this case is the home country, the home flag, it's absolutely fine.
Mate, there's a lot of countries in shit state, right? But I think we're the only country where a flag is now offensive. I think in France, they're pretty far left. They're far left governments there, and woke. The whole of Europe's woke. A lot of the places, Germany as well. But none of those countries have to be ashamed of flying their flag. This is the only country where visitors or people that are coming or migrating in can then say that they're offended by said flag. It's disgusting.
It is.
It's absolutely disgusting. I don't know why these people were putting up with it. It's absolutely shameful. So yeah, you had a good Pakistani Independence Day then.
It was great, Dan. Yeah. we went and had some shisha, and then I got my RS3 and started revving it in the centre of town. It was great.
Oh, I'm glad you enjoyed it. Guys, let us know in the comments if you enjoyed Pakistan Independence Day as well. Moving on to another thing, of course, with regard to Tommy Robinson and Tony Bellew with crossover that occurred yesterday. And I want to get your thoughts and reaction on it. We're gonna basically Tony Bellew was interviewed, and he chose his moment, right, his minute with his to be able to speak on important issues of the world. He chose his moment to talk about Tommy Robinson and the divide that he's creating. You can literally tell by the video he doesn't know. He hasn't watched Tommy Robinson whatsoever. He's just listening to the mainstream media's version of Tommy Robinson. He says his words, Tommy Robinson responds back, and then there was a bit of a back and forth, of course, on X. But let's watch the video footage first, and I want to get your thoughts on it as well.
There's bad Muslims, there's bad Christians, there's bad Catholics, there's bad Jews.
Tony Bellew has a brutally honest message to the world as certain people continue to divide communities.
I didn't like the narrative Tommy Robinson was painting, if I'm being totally honest. I seen the interview done with the rapper, and he basically said he's an enemy of Islam. Why would anyone be an enemy of any religion? There's gobshites in every single religion. There's bad Muslims, there's bad Christians, there's bad Catholics, there's bad Jews. Why would anyone pick and target? It's like saying there's good black people, there's good white people, there's bad white people, there's bad black people. There's good and bad in all race, religions, creeds and ethnicities. And this man's painting a narrative that there's something wrong with Islam. There's not. I've grown up amongst the Nation of Islam and people who are devout Muslims, and they're nothing but peaceful. So it's disgusting to paint that light and frighten people the way he has done. And I think it's wrong, to be fair. As when it comes to, immigration and illegal immigration in the country, it's happening everywhere, mate. It's not just our country. Also, remember, our country was built on immigrants coming to this country, building buildings, creating families. I mean, my grandfather came over here, knocked me nan up from the US Navy or Marines, whatever he was in, then went back to America. My dad's side of the family, I originate from Ireland. Are they, are these all immigrants who have come over to this country? No, they're not. There's an awful lot of good that people do in this country. And I'm sick of hearing that and people painting narratives like Tommy Robinson. It's wrong, mate, it really is. You're turning hateful things on people and you're turning love into hate. It's wrong, it really is. I mean, listen, you're a racist. Stop, mate, just stop. You're pushing hate. Don't push hate. Push love, push the good sides of people, and eventually that will all turn around in the end.
We hope so. I think one of the key things people are complaining about is unvetted immigration, and obviously that's like a whole different minefield.
Of course it is, and that comes from all kinds of countries and places. I couldn't agree more with illegal immigration's not right. You can't be coming to this country and just doing that. And I also think it's right that when you come to this country, you should be working, you should be giving something back. Every country should have the same procedure. You come to this country, you work, you earn your wage, and that's how it should be. So it is what it is, mate, but there's a lot more going on. There's a lot more wrong in the world than that. So, what can you do at the end of the day? It's everyone is entitled to an opinion, but I just think it's wrong when you're pushing that narrative down, the hate narrative. I just think it's so wrong and so dangerous, and I'd like to see it wiped out.
I hope we, amongst this interview, can spread a bit of peace amongst the world. Tony, appreciate your time as always. Any final messages?
Spread peace, spread love, be kind to people, look after your loved ones, take care of your mother and father, and take care of your kids. Yeah, that's all you can really do. Just be a good person, do more good than you do bad. No one's perfect. We've all done bad. We've all done not good stuff. So, yeah, just take it as it is.
Respect, brother. Thank you.
Now, before we get Tommy's response to that, what are your thoughts on Tony's words there?
Oh, Dan, he's just a champagne socialist, isn't he?
Yeah.
No one's arguing that there's good and bad people in every religion. Obviously, that's the case, But what these champagne socialists fail to recognise is per capita.
Yeah.
What are the rates? Are they increased or decreased from the native population? And, he's not... the thing is, he's not racist, right? And this is the really big thing. He's not racist because Islam is not a race. Yeah. It is a religion. Mm-hmm. And not even understanding the difference, I think it just shows a lack of understanding of Tommy's message. Now, Tommy has come out publicly saying that he's supporting Sikhs, Hindus, and Christians from other nations as well, like Nigeria. So how can he be racist when he's also supporting these other races that he says integrate well into society?
Yeah.
It's completely ridiculous.
Do you reckon he's getting a big paycheck from Saudi?
I think there has to be some foreign influence there, right?
Let's listen to what Tommy has said.
Tony, out of everything, you have your little opportunity to voice your opinion. Rather than sucking the cock of Saudi Arabia, you could have used that moment, yeah? 25 sexual assaults and rapes against minors from men living in hotels, migrants in hotels. 8 women have been raped. There were 11 attacks in 12 days in the last couple of weeks. And you use your platform not to talk about the invasion of our nation by a backward culture that doesn't integrate or assimilate. Go to Birmingham, go to Bradford, go to Luton, go to any of these areas with Islamic ghettos. Come out of Liverpool for a minute, yeah? You could have used your minute to talk about that. You could have spoke about the generation of Britain's daughters that have been raped. You could have talked about the fact that the Southport attacker, which you went mad about, had an Al-Qaeda manual under his fucking pillow. You could have talked about any of these things. Islam taking over our prisons, radicalising, recruiting, terrorism, jihad, attack after attack after attack. You could have spoke about any of that. What did you choose your fucking minute for? About Tommy Robinson. Because I said Islam was our enemy. 70% of the Quran talks about you, dickhead. It talks about how they should control you. There's 4 verses in the Quran that say they should rape your missus or your wife. That's the Quran. That's what it says. There's 100 verses that tell them to kill you, dickhead. So tell me you know nothing about Islam without telling me you know nothing about Islam. So how about you sit down, read something, so you actually are briefed and understand what you're talking about, instead of spouting shit to get a big paycheck from Saudi Arabia and get a pat on the back when you see all the Muslims. Oh, well done, Tony, you cocksucker, you absolute spastic.
I mean, that was pretty funny, to be fair.
Yeah, he proper meant that dickhead, didn't he? Oh, you dickhead.
Obviously, Tony then, of course, replied to this in a tweet. He says, "The thing is, you just call me here, you're going to be held accountable for. So all these rapists and beasts you're talking about, there is hundreds of thousands of white pedos and rapists you say fuck all about. You have an agenda that you're being paid to follow, unlike me." Now, someone else jumped in and said, "Tony, it's understandable coming from a view of 5-10 years ago. You can't say every Tom, Dick and Harry is racist now. This country is heading towards being an Islamic country. They're already the leading faith here. That's a fact. Stop bending the knee to use your head, mate. The country is never going to be Islamic country. Religion is not the problem. This country, the people who are running it, is the real problem." But essentially, they have a bit more of a back and forth on stuff. But the key thing that Tony is showing is that he doesn't understand per capita.
Yeah.
So no one is saying to Tony, and no one has ever come out and said that there is no white nonces, there's no pedos and all these things. But it's that picture again that we showed you. We'll get it up, that sexual assaults one.
Yep.
And as you can see, in every single country that's native, so in our country, for example, the UK white people, or whatever, people that are born in the UK should be at the top per capita for sexual assaults, for murders, for robberies, for every single crime imaginable, and everything bad and everything good should be at the top per capita in every single segment, because they are the majority of people. Mm-hmm. However, Afghanis, as you can see in that chart, are the top. Other countries, such as Pakistan, Somalia, in terms of sexual assaults, are at the top. So Tony doesn't understand per capita whatsoever, and that's where his frustration was coming from.
Yeah, it's a complete lack of information. He's just taking it at face value, and he's not necessarily diving into any of the statistics which completely disprove his stance. And he's taking this like moral high ground, and he's trying to be this like social justice warrior, where he's just labeling people as racist or sexist or, Islamophobic, which I don't even believe in Islamophobia, because that's an irrational fear of something. But I think the fears are very rational. The sexual assault stats, which obviously they've seen, it's off the charts. We're talking 10 to 20 times more likely. And also, the assaults of illegal immigrants just from hotels are skyrocketing. I think if you just focus on the hotels, which are mainly based off Iran, Iraq, Afghanistan, Syria, Middle Eastern countries, they are through the roof. Mm-hmm. And the thing is, incentives dictate outcomes.
Yeah.
There is an incentive to assault in this country because the laws are lenient.
Yeah.
If they did this in Afghanistan, I can guarantee you they would be killed.
Oh, I seen a clip of some guy who was like a big political commentator. He's like one of those guys who's kind of friends with the Taliban, or was at least like the thingy. And he was talking about a situation that occurred in Sweden where these Afghani asylum seekers had raped a 12-year-old girl. And he obviously has this contact who's in the Taliban, and he was speaking, what do you think about that? And he said, oh, I would happily take them back, and we'll take care of them for you.
Yeah.
So the people that are, again, I'm not condoning the Taliban whatsoever, but they know that if they did that under a Taliban rule, they would be chucked off a roof, or at least they would have the worst unimaginable death possible.
Yeah.
So you can, as I said, we can paint the Taliban as bad or whatever what you want to do, but they wouldn't get away with that in their own country. So they're still doing that shit when it come over to our country because they know they're not going to pay for it in the way that they would in their own nation.
Exactly, you're right. And to say that the sort of mass grooming gang scandal isn't racially motivated as well is a complete farce because all of the victims, or the majority of the victims, were white British girls, not their own.
Yeah.
They weren't sort of mass, sexually assaulting little Muslim girls.
Yeah.
It was all foreign. It was all foreign to them. British girls, white girls. So there has to be a racial motivation in there, and to not agree with that statement is just to completely ignore the facts. And that's the thing. The truth does not care about your feelings. So we have to be bold in stating these facts, because ignoring the facts is just going to give more power to people like Tony.
Well, there is, and I mean, there is actually an extract in the Quran about, taking their women and, doing these things, was kind of thing what the famous prophet did.
Yeah.
Took a wife off one of the guys and then impregnated her, which was essentially rape.
Yeah, and it talked about kind of like, it talks in a way of possession, that they are under your possession, things like that.
Yeah. So, Tony knows nothing. Tommy owned him in the talk, but who would win in a fight?
I think, to be fair, in the street, I'd back our man.
I said a bit of Tommy in the headlines recently with the one punch
Yeah.
knockout.
He's probably good for one punch. That's about it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I'm a better man. I love Tommy, but I'd have to go with Tony for the fight, unfortunately.
Well, that's the thing. You can't sort of back your opinions with your fists, right? Because he's not a boxer anymore.
Yeah. But I would like to see that debate actually happen. The thing is, Tony does seem like he's thick as mints.
Yeah.
So
spread love, not hate, mates.
Yeah. I mean, look, listen. That's just the thing that's the problem we have with celebrities in general, because the celebrities within our country, you start speaking, towards the right and against the establishment's narrative, then you quickly become cancelled. You look at Russell Brand, Katie Hopkins, these are all on mainstream television networks. You can look at all the presenters as well. The moment you start moving towards the right and highlighting the establishment's problems, then all of a sudden you're cancelled. That paycheck's gone. And with Saudi and that, I would like Tony to actually. I've spent a lot of time in Dubai, UAE, as you know. And Tony's spending a lot of time in Saudi, Qatar, and Dubai, Abu Dhabi, in the UAE. Yeah. These are not real representations of such nations. And I will agree, Dubai is one of the most magnificent places in the world. I think it's the best ran city in all of the world. And yes, it is Islamic. That's a great perspective of it. But those countries do not let Afghan asylum seekers, Pakistani asylum seekers into their country. And they are the ones that actually warned the West in 2017 and said, there's going to come a day where you're going to see a lot of these attacks coming out of you think you know Islam more than we do.
Yeah.
So they don't take those individuals in, and they're Islamic country. So, Tony, I would suggest maybe your next fight is probably head down to Pakistan or Afghanistan instead of hanging out in Qatar and Saudi and UAE if you want a real representation.
You're right. And it's just it's this backwards mentality where they don't accept any of the Palestinian refugees into Egypt. You want to see the border of Egypt and Palestine. Bloody hell. We're talking like 20 feet walls, barbed wire, guns and all. They are hand over fist. They do not accept any of the Palestinian refugees because they do not want them.
Yeah.
And the ones that we're getting into the country aren't these like, modern assimilated.
Yeah, we're not getting the ones from the UAE,
No.
or even in fact, we spend a lot of time in Indonesia. Indonesia's a predominantly Islamic country, and it's a fantastic representation of how the religion, of course, works. It's fantastic. Everyone here in Indonesia is very, very peaceful.
It's
and
true.
the same with Dubai, but it's obviously some nations with those things, and they're the ones that we're getting. Afghanistan, Pakistan, Syria, Iraq, all of these places.
Yeah.
They're actually shit pits, war-torn countries.
Exactly. And
you
they're
know?
the ones that take the sort of war verses from the Quran seriously.
Yeah.
They want to, they're an expansive sort of interpretation of the Quran. They're going there to dominate the culture, to expand the influence of Islam, and to basically sort of take over and divert the culture to push Sharia law as well onto Western countries. That is their interpretation, and that is what they are doing in Western countries. There is no assimilation. There is just sort of this like expansive regime that they're pushing.
Question, and I've asked you it before, but I want to have it for the viewers. But if you took everybody out of Syria and put them all into Norway, and took everyone out of Norway and put them into Syria, which country would be flourishing in 20 years' time?
Oh, well, I think everyone knows the answer to that. I think Norway would turn into a shithole, for lack of a better expression.
Yeah.
I think Syria would be a sort of Middle Eastern metropolis.
Exactly. So some people think, but it's the place from one country. No, it's the people that make up this place.
Exactly.
And Norway would be, as you said, turned into a shit pit, and then Syria would be thriving.
And one thing as well is that the Champagne socialists will never have the repercussions of the policies they're pushing.
Yeah.
They all live in gated communities, in very rich places.
Yeah.
They're not taking in any asylum seekers or refugees. You saw Gary Neville push this as well. And yet he won't take any into his house. He's got like fucking 10 spare rooms.
Hotels.
Yeah.
Gary Neville, this guy is, he's one of the worst ones. And I see it with all of the celebrities because they're just so scared of being cancelled. Because the moment they start saying something, you can better believe they're going to be gone pretty quickly and out of the game, and their paycheck is going to be gone. That's why they sold their soul. They sold their soul, and I have to say the things that the establishment want. And and for that they're just pushing false narratives. And Tony had his moment where he's chatting utter shite, for a lack of a better word.
Yeah.
On the subject of hotels, did you see what happened the other day? And again, I've been really, really happy with independent journalism because this is the story's not really been in the mainstream media. Basically, Britannia Hotel. We start our podcast is now probably newer. But the same age. I think we started the podcast when there was the whole fuss that the Britannia Hotel was going to be turned into an asylum hotel.
Yeah,
and it was the outrage. We've seen, of course, the protests that have been happening. And already we've got our first incident. They've been in the door a week and a half. This individual here essentially walked in, he was residing at the Britannia Hotel, a legal migrant, walked into a woman's house. Just walked in. And then, British patriots had to step in and remand him, essentially hold him there, called the police, obviously thinking that the police would deal with it. Have a look at the police's reaction to this and what they're saying and why they're not going to be arresting him.
Guys are quite unhappy about
Yeah, 100%.
but we have no allegation to arrest him for. Okay? I understand that that's not something you want to hear, but unfortunately, there's only so much we can do, and obviously, she's the main person and she doesn't want to press charges.
She does want to press charges. She just said to me.
What's their alleged offence?
Sorry, everybody. Could you make some space, please?
By entering someone's house,
Come through.
That's a lot more than trespassing. So if I went into someone's house, you'd do me for burglary.
Sorry, buddy. Trying to make some space.
They're going to release him.
It's starting.
Release him.
We've let him go about his business. But then when you enter people's houses, that's a different story.
Trespass is part of burglary.
wow.
So what I've got out of this, basically, there's no such thing as trespassing in the UK now.
Yeah.
So unless you, I can just walk into your house. I don't know who you are, and as long as I don't steal anything, I'm happy. I'm okay.
But the interesting thing there is that the police said if there's suspicion of burglary, they can arrest. Well, surely trying to enter someone's house is suspicion of burglary.
Well, how can they not do it? But I'm sure trespassing is also a thing, a law, like it's breaking a law.
Yeah, it's trespassing's a civil offence, so if you get told to leave...
Yeah, but you're just walking into someone's house. I understand being in your front garden or something like that, but this is someone's house.
Yeah. This is the thing. We don't have self-defence laws in the UK, nor do we have the right to protect our property. So it just goes down to the civil sort of trespassing laws. But how is there not any suspicion of robbery? Like... Of course he was trying to rob or assault this woman because he was trying to enter the house.
Looking at the track record over the last 2 weeks, and I'm not going to assume, but I assume he wasn't there for burglary. I assume he was there for something else.
Exactly.
With the woman being in the house.
You cannot give benefit of doubt to these people.
Mate.
We do not know who they are. We do not know anything about them, their criminal history, even that they lie about their country of origin, their names, their age. They lie about everything, tooth and nail, as soon as they come into the country. How can we assume that this person had good intentions when trying to enter an old person's house because she left the door open? They're blaming it on the woman for leaving the door open.
All right, well, this is what the Met Police said in a statement. We are aware of video circulating relating to an incident that officers were called at 6:07 on Wednesday, 30th of August at Marsh Wool. We understand a man entered a property through an open door, having been followed by a group of men in the street. The man has not been arrested at this time, as our initial investigation has not identified any offences. We understand this is distressing for the occupants. In a separate incident following this, a 22-year-old woman was arrested on suspicion of common assault against a security guard, possession of an offensive weapon, a fray, possession of Class B drugs, and assault on an emergency worker. Okay, so it was all about a dispersal order. But essentially, they noted that and admitted that this guy did walk into someone's gaff, but they can't arrest him for it. So he now knows. Again, he's new to the UK and he's thinking, well, we're allowed to do that. I can do that again now.
Yeah.
Nothing's going to happen.
Guess what? He will.
And he will. I mean, this time people might not be around.
Yeah.
To stop any such incidents.
Well, the people who stopped him were heroes. You know, I've got an interview in my document there of the two people who subdued him and managed to sort of catch him in the act.
Shall we have a little watch of that? See what was said.
Sure.
Okay, and we're rolling. So I'm here with Dean and Richie. Dean, tell me what you saw today.
Today I was with a friend who rang me for, funny enough, a pair of Crocs. So I've come downstairs and we've gone around to Tiller Road to pick up the Crocs. Upon leaving Tiller Road, we turn right into Bing Street to where we see a lady leaving her property and an illegal immigrant who we recently see just before that leaving the hotel. We pull over, he's trying to gain entrance into the lady's house to where we say to the man, like, what are you doing? He decides to run, nearly getting hit by the car that we're in. We follow him up the road to where we jump out and say, like, mate, what are you doing? You can't be doing this sort of stuff. He runs up the road to Marsh Wool where we follow him. We then detain him, we don't touch him. We phone the police and we say to the police, like, come down, this is what's happened. They turn up. Once they turn up, this is where the two-tier policing comes into play. They turn up, and when they turn up, they tell us that they can't arrest a man because of it's only trespassing. He didn't say anything. He didn't want to touch anything in their property, which they don't know because of the girl managed to get him out of her property. They put the man in their vehicle and drive him to return him to the Britannia Hotel on the Isle of Dogs, Canary Wharf. We then get down there, and then when we get down there, that's where all the two-tier policing starts. They say they can't arrest a man through trespassing not being a criminal offence, a civil matter.
What's he doing in there?
What's he doing in the property in the first place? What's his intentions of going into their house? And then once we get down there, they then started issuing, what was it?
Section 35 got done for. So the old bill said you've got to leave the property and you can't come back till 2 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, we've always told the community this was going to happen, and this is what has happened now. It's going on everywhere. It just needs to stop. The whole thing needs to stop. How we're still letting these in. It's been 50,000 now since Starmer took in charge of Labour. It's absolute disgrace. I don't want to swear, but it's an absolute disgrace. And yeah, it's come to a point now. If something don't change now, then
it's going to be madness, absolutely madness, and yeah.
Also, the police have said, when we was there and we was questioning the police as to why they're not arresting the man, the police exact words was, if your door is open, they're allowed to enter. Which is insane. How can you just authorise people to enter someone's property? We said to them, so the gates are open on the Britannia Hotel, why can't we go into the Britannia Hotel? They said, you're allowed. When we walked down there, they then barricaded the gates and said no one is allowed into the hotel itself, otherwise they'll arrest anybody. But it's trespassing, only trespassing on someone's premises, but in terms of the hotel, you can get arrested for it, which is, it's two-tier. You can't say one rule for one thing, one rule for another thing.
And when we were there as well, the old Bill was smirking at us, this, that, the other, trying to antagonise us. There's other people there trying to antagonise us. It's just getting more and more of a joke, and we're all done with it now. We're finished with it. Our family and kids are in trouble over here. We're so in trouble now. It ain't a joke no more. And people need to liven up. People need to liven up now, I'm telling you now. Yeah.
They put a section 35 in place down there and then arrested a 57-year-old lady because she was sitting on the wall.
She lives over there and all.
And she lives on the Isle of Dogs. They give her 2 warnings to the point where the Metropolitan Police then handcuffed her and said, I have read you your rights. She said, you haven't. He then said, you must not have heard me. If you wish me to repeat them, I'll repeat them. But I'll have it on video. He never once read her the rights from when he handcuffed her. Never once done it. They also said about the trespassing to the property. They released a man, drove him back to the Britannia Hotel. Because we stopped him from putting him back into the hotel, the police officer moved him on to a safer property elsewhere for the evening. How is there more than one place for these people to stay? Where are they going to? And of course to the area.
Scared,
it ain't
worried.
safe for anybody to walk around over on the Isle of Dogs anymore. These people need to be moved on. Also, finding from the lady, the young girl that was in the residence and actually moved the man on, her mum is blind. She's just come out of hospital. She's in bed, she's bedbound, she can't get out of bed. She was only there cleaning her property. If she wasn't there, what does this man do when he goes in there?
Madness.
What does he do?
It's madness.
She managed to fight him out of the property, not physically touching him, but turning around, screaming, shouting, the man left. And we jumped out of the motor and we see him and he left, he run. But if she wasn't there and we wasn't there at that moment in time, it's like someone above was looking down, asking him to get Crocs. But if that didn't happen, what happens to that lady while she's in bed?
Wow.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's quite a lot to discuss there, but yeah, they're right. And that's what we were saying before this video. You know, what would have happened? And again, you know, we've seen the records, the numbers that keep on coming up over the last couple of weeks from illegal migrant hotels. We know a lot of, again, I have to say it for the camera, not everyone, but we know a lot of their intentions. And a blind lady in a bed.
Yeah. The fact that she's blind adds a real sinister tone to this whole story. This is, you know, these guys, fair play to them.
Yeah.
You know, they did their duty as men. You know, they followed the suspect. They detained him without touching him, called the police. And yeah, these guys have seen the two-tier policing happen firsthand, arresting a 57-year-old lady because she wouldn't disperse after a Section 35, yet she lives within the Section 35.
Yeah.
It's complete two-tier.
And the thing with the hotel thing, yeah, they're right. They tried to enter the hotel, but I still can't believe that's the thing. You can just walk in someone's gaff.
Well, technically, they're publicly funded, right? The hotels are publicly funded.
Yeah.
Which means that we should be able to go in. And to be fair, in the section, the sort of planning section, the lobbies of hotels or lobbies of buildings that classify themselves as hotels are public, places. They're for everyone.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, you're not allowed to go up into someone's apartment, but the actual lobby itself, you can go into any lobby in any hotel building, and you know that's fine. So, are these buildings now reclassifying their sort of property statuses, or you know what's the job there? Because at the end of the day, you know these hotels are tax funded. So not only are they funded by the taxpayer, which means they should be public. But yeah, it's complete two-tier policing. So you can walk into someone's house and that'd be okay.
It's a scary thought. And what precedent does that send now to the illegals, where they've seen that an individual, someone like them, can walk into a lady's house, nothing happened to them, find out that it's completely okay to do so? What happens now? What precedent does that send?
Yeah, I think you know, this illegal knows he's got away with it now.
Yeah, no, but I mean, what does it? I mean, they do have social media. They see that as well. Oh, mate, did you see this? The guy in Britannia, you're allowed to in this country. You're allowed to just walk into people's house.
Yeah. Yeah, and then so you might actually see an uptick of this.
Yeah,
you know, it's setting the precedent.
Oh, I know.
And they're almost incentivizing it because they will say, no, we're not going to arrest you for walking into people's house, only if you rob something. So they might just roll the dice and see if they can get away with it.
And I say this every episode, I think, now, and I'm starting to get sick of it, but I still never really get my answer. Never, nor from the comment sections, nor from you, nor from anybody else. But why are illegal migrants allowed to just cut about the street?
Yeah.
Why are people that come in illegally allowed to just walk around the street? Why is this even a thing? Why is that a thing? Why is that a thing?
It's
no, you can't give me an answer. No one can give me an answer. Why is this a thing? What is the legislation there? Why are they allowed to just walk around the street after entering the country illegally?
Yeah, I mean,
why is this in the small print? You come to the hotel, but you can also walk around as normal.
Yeah, I mean, even if like they are trapped in the hotel, they can't leave the hotel. Fucking hell, at least that's better for the local community.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that's the right solution. I'm saying at least they're not going out and terrorizing the local community and walking into people's houses. But yeah, why are they allowed to leave the hotels? Why are there hotels in the first place? Why are they not in detention centres?
Yeah.
If we broke the law, the immigration law of any single country in Asia, Africa, America, South America, anyone, we would be detained until we are deported.
You're in orange overalls and you'll be treated as a prisoner. And you would be getting your hour yard time, and that's all you get.
Yeah.
And that is it. And then you would be deported, as you say. And that's the thing. Kind of sticking into the same subject, I suppose. You've got something with regard... Well, we're going to see what Robert Jenrick has, of course, been over to northern France and the scenes over there, Dunkirk specifically.
Let's see what Robert has uncovered there.
You want to see Robert first and then go into the bit of the investigations. But let's see what Rob has done in northern France.
Go now. I've just spent 48 hours in northern France. I wanted to see what's going on up close.
I'm Robert, I'm from England. Why do you want to go to England?
English. We're told these are refugees, fleeing danger. But that's not what I found.
I live in Saudi Arabia. I'm working in the office for the passport.
Well, so you think if you come to England, you won't be sent anywhere. You'll get to live in London. Yeah. Are you worried about getting a small boat across the channel? No.
It's not long before a man warns me to leave the camp. And moments later, bottles are thrown at me.
Hold on.
Go now. As we leave the camp, we spot something.
A group of maybe 60 or 70 migrants on the way to the beaches.
We follow them.
They're holding their life jackets. Well, it's 8:30 at night now. They're now there at the bus stop. No sign of the French police whatsoever.
They get on the bus, no tickets. It looks like an everyday occurrence. We follow the bus.
It's 9:30 and we've followed the migrants all the way into Dunkirk. We've walked behind them. We think they're in a little passageway behind these houses. The beach is just there. They are hiding just behind these trees here. We've been in and around this beach now for a couple of hours and we haven't seen any police presence. Zero, zilch.
It's just after 4 o'clock in the morning. We know that the migrants are just over there. At daybreak, we find the migrants have gone. We don't know where. There's still no sign of any police. So I ring them.
I'm in Dunkirk and I saw a large group of 40 or 50 illegal migrants in the cemetery off the main road by the beach.
He does not think that they are going to come, but he's going to give the information to the police. Then the police will decide.
Okay, thank you very much. So I think the police officer just said that he doesn't think the police will be sent out. We've literally gone to a camp, found a group of migrants holding life jackets, watched them get onto a public bus in plain sight of everyone. Then we watched them walk through Dunkirk, and we've given £800 million to France, and we didn't see a police officer, the whole day, and now we just phoned them. It doesn't sound they're even going to bother to come out. So this is where the migrants spent the night. You can see they left behind all sorts of things here. Tons of rubbish as well. They completely trashed the place. Within an hour or so of them leaving, there are people here cleaning it all up. Just another day in northern France.
Place is a shit pit. To put it lightly, that place is do you know what I mean? Like, I'm trying to think from the police's perspective, right? Take away your British hat for a second. You know, French people that, you know, they're the police force of Dunkirk residing, probably lived in Dunkirk the whole life, right? They're probably buzzing deep down. Of course they don't want to deal with that because they know that 50 to 60 are now leaving.
Yeah.
So it makes sense to them. They're like, yeah, fuck that. we
not
want them gone as well. Yeah, it's
Out
not
of
a problem.
sight.
As we spoke about the other day, it's like, you know, they want that to happen. They want them to go across because then there's less that are in their nation, in their country.
Exactly. Out of sight, out of mind, right?
Yeah.
You know, and then even the French Navy will transport them to British waters for then our boats to pick them up. And, you know, what I've done recently, there's been a pretty big revelation in terms of the boats that they're using. So if you just pull up my document for a second, there's a big question of where they're getting the boats to cross, okay? So we know that these illegal smuggling gangs are somehow sourcing these boats, and then they obviously pay for the tickets, or the illegals pay for the tickets, and then the boats go from France to the UK. So the boats get seized in the UK, and they get seized by the Home Office. And if you just click this top video here, we have a sort of independent journalist who lives in Dover, and yeah, this is what he's uncovered about where the boats are going.
Last night, I noticed there was a whole batch. Yeah, hang on, I have to go back because there's someone coming. There was a whole batch of dinghies in the little area near the crane in the boatyard. Loads of them, all numbered. You'll have just seen that clip, hopefully. And I thought, okay, tomorrow the lorry's probably going to come. And guess what? Here it is. Right, yeah, there's the lorry. Right. So I'm going to go and wander over there and just see if it's the same truck. All right, today we're going to try and follow it. There it is. The lorry is leaving. But that is the lorry, basically, with all the dinghies on it. And if my idea is correct, that lorry is going to France. That's the lorry. Okay, so I'm going to prove it. Right, so that is getting on a ferry. Where to? That's the question, look. Okay, can you see the number plate? Ah, come on. RX68 YKA. All right, that's it. Boom. Okay, I'm inside. I saw the lorry. It was just the other side of that fence. I'm now going to drive round. Now, what is it doing? Hiding there. There it is. There it is. RX68, there's a driver in it, so he's going to see me doing this. And I don't care. There's the number plate. RX68 YKA. This lorry is getting on a ferry. So the dinghy's come.
Yeah, so pretty incriminating, really. So I wanted to dig into this story. I wanted to find out the facts of this story.
Yeah.
And find out sort of what companies are responsible for this. So the first thing I did is check that registration. Now the registration is RX68 Yankee Kilo Alpha, and that corresponds to a vehicle registered in Thiel. So, and that corresponds to the same lorry that's in the video a white DAF lorry. The lorry has no tax as of Feb 2025, but it is a road legal lorry, and it's racked up 485,000 kilometers since the lorry was purchased. Now, the real incriminating evidence here is the business associations to the lorry. Now, based on some sort of accusations and public findings as well, the lorry is linked to a company called GXO Logistics. Now, they have a parent company in the US that fully owns its UK subsidies. Now, BlackRock is one of the major shareholders in the main company of GXO, how it's listed on the New York Stock Exchange. They own 9.82% of that company, and through its sort of indirect ownership of its subsidies in the UK. Now, GXO was awarded a contract to provide single-source logistics to support the UK border force, which obviously is part of the Home Office. Now, this involves transportations and logistics solutions for border operations. So, I'm hitting a lot of dead ends in terms of sort of legitimizing these stories. We know that GXO does have contacts with the Home Office. To validate the number plate to the business, I'd have to submit something called a V888 to DVLA, and that's to verify the ownership. But what I have done is request a Freedom of Information Act to the Home Office, asking for details with any contracts with GXO Logistics. Now, if we can prove that this number plate is registered to GXO Logistics, and GXO Logistics has contracts with the Home Office and the Border Patrol, then this is massive. The Border Patrol are literally giving France the boats back. Rather than seizing them and destroying them, they're giving the boats back. And these boats get into the hands of the people smugglers. They get, obviously, redone, and then, boom, another 80 immigrants. It's insane. And this is fraud on a industrial scale.
Madness, man. And of course, when you see the BlackRock's name attached to something, it's always pretty scary.
It is.
Very, very scary.
It is. They seem to have a finger in every pie.
Yeah.
And they're sort of this, there's a lot of conspiracies about this sort of globalist agenda that they're pushing. They were a massive component in DEI. So they would not give companies loans, and they would rate companies down on a thing called an ECG score, which it relates to environmental impact as well as sort of DEI roles as well. How many white people, how many black people are in your company. And if you had a low ECG score, then you would get unfavorable loans. Mm-hmm. So the companies would sort of bend the knee, and they would change the policies. They would, hire more sort of black people or people of ethnic background to get favorable loans for the companies. So they are pushing this through the financial arm. They're sort of using this financial blackmail to impose their globalist agenda onto the Western civilization. And it's absolutely sick. It boils my blood, Dan. Mm-hmm. It boils my blood. This is fraud. This is human trafficking. And this is treason.
Yeah. No, it is. No, it's crazy. And I mean, we can, I suppose, go down the rabbit hole of where BlackRock leads to in another episode. I suppose I won't put it out in this one. But scary times. But that is fucking shambolic, really. It is.
Yeah, it is. At least seize the assets of the human traffickers. Keir Starmer came out and said we're going to smash the business. No, you're not. You're giving them back the assets that they use to smuggle people. There's definite proof of it. There is definite proof of it. This guy, whoever this guy is, we need to find out who this man is, because fair play, he deserves some sort of medal. This is groundbreaking. And to not only say you're going to stop it, but to go a step further and actually facilitate these human trafficking gangs is treason, is genuine treason. This should be on the front page of every single newspaper.
But it won't.
And I'm finding these in obscure threads on X. I'm trying to do some investigative report. I can't even find the source material. I don't know where this guy came from. It's
independent journalism yet again, and that's why the establishment wants to shut down things like this.
Yeah.
Because it's exposing a lot. And as you say, Keir Starmer's motto has always been, let's smash the gangs. And if there's any correlation to that they're just facilitating it. I mean, everything else would suggest that they're facilitating it, but then giving the boats back, that's an even absurd smack in the face.
And we're funding giving the boats back. The Home Office, the Border Patrol has these contracts with GXO Logistics, who obviously are the owners or alleged owners of this DFA truck, and they're the ones doing the transportation. You know,
that's absolutely bonkers, man. I can't believe that. To be fair, I've just heard about that just now as we've. As I said, I told you. You said you had something big before we started the pod, and you were going to tell me, and I was like, "No, save it for the podcast."
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the first time I found out about that, and that's the first time I've heard of such a thing. But that's bonkers. It's really crazy.
It's shocking, and you know, I think this is completely incriminating as well. So you know, I have submitted the V888 to the DVLA. I've also done the Freedom of Information Act as well. I'm going to try and find this link and verify this link. The issue is with the V888. You know, they don't really allow that information to come out when it's investigative journalism.
Yeah.
It has to be for like an insurance thing or something. So I'm just kind of tiptoeing around that subject. But the Freedom of Information Act, I'm confident will come back to validate the Home Office's contracts with GXO.
Nah, it's mental. That's absolutely shocking. It really is.
And one other thing as well. So if you scroll down, here is the tag that this man found on the boat. Now, I really tried to look into the writing on this tab, and it's quite difficult. I can't really make out what it says, but it's a property exhibit label, which relates to a court case. So there's a serial number on it. It says Authority W8. I can't make out if that's an F or a T. And the sort of identification numbers as well. It says court exhibition number. So this is part of a criminal case then, a court, because there's surely some sort of legal proceedings regarding this exhibit.
Yeah.
I can't really make out much more than that, other than obviously the description of the dinghy, which is an 8-meter black/white, and the time and date scheduled. Now, the interesting thing here is the time and date comes from the 15th of the 8th, 2022. So is this old footage? Like, I don't understand.
Maybe it's just been there for so long. As you said, it was a court date, so maybe they're now finished with the boat as such.
Maybe.
Now return. But why would they be returning it? Why are they not disposing of it?
Exactly. That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Why would they go back to... Why not just destroy it, you know?
Yeah. I mean, it's a dinghy. Who needs the dinghy? Who's claiming that property back?
Exactly. Who's on the other end?
Yeah. Who's receiving that?
Is it the French government? You know, I don't think so. Because what would the French government do? Are the French government then selling these dinghies onto the human traffickers? Like, there are so many questions.
Or is there someone else there at the other end taking them back?
Yeah. There are so many questions regarding this, you know?
Yeah.
And this is a massive sort of unraveling of this whole fraud, because one of the massive questions is, where are they getting these dinghies from? You know? If we're sending them back, well, it's case closed, isn't it? They're using the same dinghies over and over and over.
Yeah. Now, I'll be interested to hear your follow up, I suppose, on the situation. If you get any information back, and in the next episode over the weekend, we'll see if we get anything more on this. But yeah, some good investigation there, Dom.
Thank you.
Really interesting. I'm sure a lot of the viewers will appreciate that. And the video footage of the gentleman that got it, fantastic. And do try and get in contact with us if you can. If you're seeing this, we'd love to hear more from you on this.
Of course, if you're in Dover, and you can sort of fact check us as well.
Yeah.
Obviously, we want to see this by not only one source, but multiple sources, because that just gives more of a validation to these videos as well.
Yeah, moving on from that, I suppose, there was a bit on the Manchester Arena bomb plotter. He has now been charged of 3 counts of attempted murder, of course. A while back, he was charged over an incident which 4 prison officers were injured at a maximum security prison. in April this year. So he's now officially been charged. He's the brother of the Manchester Arena bomber, or of course, he'd blow himself up. Basically, the counter-terrorism police did a probe or did an investigation into the attack at HMP Franklin. But essentially, this guy was, a terrorist. Is a terrorist, the mastermind behind the bombings, I suppose. High risk. He just cuts about doing his business in the prison. We talked about Tommy Robinson and his treatment in jail. He was in solitary confinement for the full 9 months, essentially. And he spoke about how they live in prisons. It was a good podcast. I can't remember the exact one, but he spoke about it in depth of what it was like and how the Islamists cut about in the prison. They have like their own private kitchens and you get access to the kitchen facilities. Yeah. These high-risk prisoners that have a really crazy ideology and an agenda are just allowed to use kitchen equipment, which obviously led to such an attack on these prison officers.
Yeah, and it really boils down to this sort of question that has been in the zeitgeist a long time in the UK, and I want to hear your opinion on this, is should the death penalty be brought back?
Yeah, well, I've always been, again, I see it in the United States, I've always been very supportive of such a thing, For certain cases, there absolutely should be the death penalty in the United Kingdom. Really, terrorism, stuff like that, there should be. But this guy, I suppose, he was the mastermind and that's the way they'd look at it in the law and order. Yeah, he's a terrorist, but he wasn't the guy who actually killed the people as such. Mastermind behind it played a huge part in it. So people would argue, well, why would he get the death sentence for that? But I look at it in America, and America's policies, I don't believe you cannot get the death penalty just for killing someone. It has to be under certain circumstances or extreme circumstances, i.e. you kill a cop, you kill more than one person, you kill a child. You usually then do get the death penalty for that. Mm-hmm. And I was watching a good documentary on Netflix. I don't know if you watched it, about Gabriel Fernandez.
I've not. About
a child, basically, his mum and her boyfriend essentially tortured this kid. Left him in the cupboard, used to put fags out on him, used to beat him. He was going through school and stuff like that. And it was a massive failure in basically what's it called? The social services. It was a massive failing in that, which the documentary shows. But the guy, the boyfriend, which led to this young boy's death, Gabriel Fernandez, ended up getting the death penalty for that case. So I do believe, in long, that the UK should bring it back for extreme circumstances, such as terrorism, such as mass killings like Axel Rudy Buchanan, those kind of things. Absolutely. And you?
Yeah, I completely agree. I might even go a step further. Who's more guilty? The man who made the bomb or the man who set it off?
Yeah, no, I agree.
I would say they're very much equally responsible for this tragedy happening. The Manchester bombings hit close to me.
Yeah.
The next day, when I was in college at the time, I was only 17. The next day in college, there was people in my sociology classes that witnessed this bombing.
Yeah.
They could have died.
Yeah.
They were my friends and they could have died.
Yeah.
And I agree that only in very extreme circumstances should this happen. There needs to be definitive proof. There can't be any wish-washy in, if they did it or not, I agree. I would gladly see.
But he still he caused terror. He's in prison now for terror-related things. Of course, caused a world of pain. Prison's there to reform an individual. Essentially, that's the black and white of it. You're there to reform him, essentially. This guy shows no sign of change. 7 years on, he's now tried to kill 4 prison officers. Why do the prison officers have to put up with having this individual? And at a pure extreme, if you don't want to be doing the death penalty or having death row, at the bare minimum, why is he not living a life in solitude? Why is he living a life? Why does he have human rights, especially now after that? And why on earth is he allowed to just walk around the prison and you have access to kitchen equipment? Who's sanctioning that?
Yeah, it's incredible because he basically got kind of hot oil and a makeshift knife as well.
Yeah.
Like, how on earth can you trust this man who has nothing to lose? He is staying in jail for the majority, if not the rest of his life. I do not want to see this man on the streets again.
Well, probably the UK you will at some point.
Yeah, probably. He'll probably do 40% of his sentence and get put up in a hotel. It's a complete lack of justice for the victims of this bombing.
Yeah.
If you ask any of the family members whose children died in that bombing, do they want to see this man sentenced to death or in jail? I guarantee you they'll all say death.
Oh, 1,000%. No, 100%. Then he should be on death row. But it's even that. I know we're talking about death row, and that's the death penalty is a conversation. But the fact that at the bare minimum, as I've just said, how is he just living a luxurious life in prison?
Yeah, he shouldn't have any access to cooking oil.
When I think about prison, I've never been in prison, but I always I think I get my knowledge of prison from American prisons, really, because I used to be watching their documentaries a lot. But the way it is, it's very, very secure. You get given your food through the thing most of the time, especially high-risk individuals, food through the thing, and that's it. You get an hour of a courtyard, and that's it. Why is a convicted terrorist allowed to go into a kitchen? Who sanctioned that? Who sanctioned that? There's someone in that prison that essentially has... thankfully, these guys didn't die, the prison officers. But they're responsible for that.
Yeah.
In a roundabout way, because they know what he's like. They know his ideologies. As you said, nothing to lose. He wants to go down as a martyr. He doesn't care about his life.
Yeah.
But he's going to continue trying to cause terror for the rest of his life. They would know that. So why on earth is he just allowed to do whatever he pleases?
Yeah. And this is the thing, you see people of this sort of Islamic faith get radicalized in this way. They want to be martyrs, and they want to sort of inflict pain on the Western world. And, again, we have to go back to this point. It's not everyone, but the majority of the recent big terrorist attacks in Western Europe have all been of Muslim faith.
Yeah.
After the sort of the troubles in Ireland, after that date, they were all Muslim faith. So, are we going to just allow it to happen?
Well, actually, the Home Office says far right make up of 20% of terrorist cases in the UK. So 80% is Islamic, but the Home Office recognises 20% of terror-related offences come from far right.
And they're only 7% of the population.
Yeah,
I think roughly.
Yeah.
So that's massive.
Yeah,
it's an absolute massive skew in data. There should be 7% of terrorists.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of it from the UK kind of side of things. We've been following what's been going on in Russia and Ukraine, and of course the imminent peace talks through Donald Trump. Have you got a bit of an update on what has been going on?
Well, Trump says there's about a 25% chance that it's going to go bad. So I'm going to be the glass half full guy. There's a 75% chance that this can go ahead.
Yeah.
Again, the date is coming closer.
Yeah.
We're going to be following this very closely.
Yeah.
And we want to see sort of how this comes apart.
Well, there's a headline this morning as well that Trump said about Putin. He said Donald Trump vows Putin won't mess with me as he issues the warning ahead of face-to-face. So what are you getting from Trump's demeanor going into these talks? He's going sort of no BS vibes.
Yeah, I think he has to sort of put his foot down.
Yeah.
And, the stake of thousands of lives depend on Trump's sort of negotiation skills here.
Mm-hmm.
And to be fair, if you want anyone in that room regarding sort of the negotiations, you want Trump.
Yeah, no, 1,000%. I would absolutely agree with that. I think that is us, really, for another episode, to be fair.
Thank you guys for tuning in. Again, we're going to be here Monday, Wednesday and Friday, so let us know what you think down below regarding the boat scandal. Is this treason? Is the Home Office implicit in allowing these smuggling gangs? And thank you for tuning in.
Yeah, take care, guys. Look after yourselves. Peace.
Peace.